Invest Africa, proudly brought to you by KPMG.
Welcome back to Invest Africa. Now remember, we value your suggestions and feedback, so please send an email to investafrica@abn360.com or interact with us on Twitter through @CNBCAfrica, #InvestAfrica. Now we get a view from Nigeria and West Africa. Now on the line we're joined by Kola Masha, the CEO of Doreo Partners. Kola, welcome. Now the agricultural sector has quite an extensive value chain, with each component harboring its own challenges, but let's start from the bottom, and that's the farmer. According to statistics from the AU, 70% of sub-Saharan Africa's labor force is employed by the agricultural sector. However, a significant chunk is regarded as smallholder or subsistence farmers. Of course, Doreo in Nigeria investing in startup businesses, especially on the smallholder farming side. Why are you investing in this segment of the market?
Fundamentally, I think, as you mentioned, the smallholder farmer is African agriculture. Due to I think currently in Nigeria, north of 80% of all production is practiced by smallholder farmers. We believe that this is really a critical untapped market, because what you have with smallholder farmers is you have individuals who have, what we've demonstrated are individuals who have the potential to transition from subsistence agriculture to commercial agriculture if you're able to first efficiently de-risk them, to get them the capital they need, to get the inputs and knowledge to be productive. Now, I quite literally just came from a farm right now where you have the same farmer on two, literally across the street from each other. His farm that he practices by himself, he's probably going to get 1 ton per hectare of maize from that farm. His farm that we work with him to finance, he's going to get 4 tons on that farm. So you can see dramatic differences.
But Kola, we still have to get our subsistence and our smallholders farmers to commercial viability, because that's the only way we're going to grow our economy and also feed ourselves and feed our nations and perhaps feed the world by 2050. How are you taking the smallholder farmers to the next level?
Well, I think that's the key part of what we're doing. Our goal as an organization is by 2030, we want to create 10 million commercial farmers. So these are smallholder farmers today that are producing on relatively small plots of land very inefficiently. And really what we need to do, and that's what we've done, is we utilize a model we call an agricultural franchise, where we franchise these grassroots level farm organizations and provide to them in a traditional franchisee-franchisor relationship the critical services they need to take their small businesses and make them very efficient and effective. So that stands from getting them the first and foremost knowledge to how to improve businesses. Second and most important, capital. So the smallholder farmer is going to need somewhere between $500 to $700 in working capital to produce maize best practice in R&D. The third is getting cost-effective inputs, and that's a full range, end-to-end, from soil analysis to mech services to extension services to the traditional fertilizer seeds and so on and so forth. And finally, and most importantly, the markets. Linking them effectively to markets so that they can get a good price for their produce. And by doing that, we've been able to demonstrate that we can get a farmer of $1,350 per hectare producing a staple crop maize. And by any measure, that's a commercial farmer.
All right, well, Kola, we'll be holding you to that target, 10 million by 2030. Thank you very much for joining us. Now, Florence, I'm going to throw straight to you back in Nairobi. We've heard a Nigerian target of 10 million commercial farmers by 2030. What's the status in Kenya, in East Africa? Are we building our smallholder farmers to eventually become commercial entities?
Yes, I think what's happening in Eastern Africa, and that's what's going to probably move to a number of the other countries, is innovations. And you did mention innovations, and no country can grow without innovations. And some of the innovations that are going to move Africa forward are happening right here in Kenya. Innovations like M-Pesa, where people can send money through the cell phone to now over 20 million Kenyans have access to cell phones and the access to money, access to network. They're investing the money from town to rural areas. Other innovations that are going to move us to millions of farmers is truly innovations like have been started by Equity Bank, where you can lend microcredit, small amount of money to farmers to buy seed, certified seed, small quantities of fertilizer, and they have access to information through the radio and where they get information on extension. Africa Harvest, the organization where I'm a CEO, we are involved in this, and we have been to move thousands of farmers to access seeds and then when they grow, they access big markets like the breweries who are using sorghum now instead of barley. Other innovations that are going to come, and they're really coming, is they involve with the countries breaking their barriers and allowing East African trade. The East African community, 5 countries, are now moving very fast to removing the barriers of trade so that food will move within the region. So all at once, instead of having the 40 million Kenyans, we're going to have 100 consumers within the region. And then you have the COMESA, the ECOWAS, of course the SADC. Those regional blocks are going to become a mega way really to move things forward. I think finally, and not the least, is that many African countries now are discovering they have got minerals. They have oil, they have all kind of minerals they didn't know they have. Unfortunately, certainly the earlier country that got the minerals, of course, like Nigeria and Zambia and DRC, they ignored the agriculture. And I'm fighting a turnaround, and I must say I've been engaged by a number of high-level government delegates regarding being involved in transformation to really invest some of the money in agriculture. And I believe in my own country, Kenya, that once we develop our natural resources, agriculture is going to be on the table. The Jubilee government is fully committed to irrigating 1 million hectares for food. And many other African countries are realizing that the agriculture is truly the foundation. And without having to feed your people, you can't move far. The final innovation I must talk about on smallholder farmers is to realize, for example, in Eastern Africa, coffee and tea and pyrethrum have been all grown by smallholder farmers. But what has made it very successful is the fact there's a cooperative movement which supplies the farmers with market, with the seeds, with the extension services, with the transport, the collection centers for their markets are next to very near where farmers are. And with those, then you can have a whole network of smallholder farmers truly become a mega, what you call in South Africa, large-scale growers, because they have access to the technologies.
Perfect, Dr.
And
Wambuga.
don't forget.
I'm just going to interject there. We're running out of time. Zana, what Dr. Wambuga mentioned the whole value chain, but an important aspect she mentioned was 2 words: collaboration and technology. How's this changing in the landscape?
The thinking is exactly in line with Nedbank's approach. I think that's exactly the approach we would follow in terms of turning a subsistence farmer into a commercial farmer. It is very difficult in an African environment, purely by nature of land ownership, to follow a conventional way of financing in terms of taking a mortgage over land and then using that as collateral for a loan. So one needs to look at an alternative way of doing this, and that would be to recognize the fact that the crop has an intrinsic value, and that could be collateral. Your problem is that a subsistence farmer tends to consume your collateral then. By nature of it doesn't work. Yeah. So we have to turn into a commercial model, and you're 100% right. So technical skills first and foremost. Mechanization, I would think, is next on the list. And the third one is naturally access to logistics. We talked about transport, beneficiation on the continent, and then also access to market and a firm and transparent price. Because many of these farmers produce good crops, good quality crops at the right time of the year, and then basically get exploited in terms of traders going around and not paying market-related prices purely because of the fact that the farmers need the cash then to repay the loans.
Dirk, I see you're shaking your head. Now, commodity prices fluctuate. He spoke about a fair price for a good crop. How do we ensure that this happens and across the board?
There are so many things that we really can do better than what we did in the past. I think structuring the whole sector on a continental basis is a huge challenge, but we have to do it. From Agri-SA's point of view, what we're trying to do now is to provide the top end of the value chain in such a package with our African policies that we can say, here is a number of commercial farmers. We have a specific deal in a specific area. We've done our homework. We know the natural resources are there, the water, the energy, the infrastructure is in place. We can do commercial farming in there.
It's a perfect recipe.
And then we go from a principled and a value-based platform that the people know who we are, what we stand for, and they can hold us to that. And then we create a sort of a funnel that everybody else, the commodities that wants to come in, the input organizations can say, these guys are going to do it. They've got a social conscience, so they're going to help with the micro farmers upliftment in the area. But for that, you need to form what we have in South Africa. It's actually a luxury. Farmers' unions that cooperate. There's a policy side of things that you can engage with your local municipality about the quality of the roads, the quality of the water, with your district level, with your provincial and the state level. And there's the business side of things. The two are apart, but they're also linked. If you don't have that set up, it's extremely difficult to get the commercial farmer and the micro farmer to get to one another. So you have to take hands in that. But we have got a responsibility with the means, the mechanization behind us, the resources behind us actually to help open up this value chain. And we sit on the top end and we're busy. I will keep you busy for another 2 hours if I tell you what we plan. But it's exciting, but we're going that way.
I think the bottom line, gentlemen, and Florence in Nairobi, it's all about collaboration. It's getting together, it's getting all stakeholders involved, cutting through the red tape. And at the end of the day, it's about food, it's about providing resources for our own people. And then perhaps we can look to the future to, by 2050, feed 9 billion people. But I'd like to thank you all for joining us on Invest Africa today.